Good morning and welcome back everybody to the 17th episode of Quickfire Crypto, where we keep you informed on a bi-daily basis. If you're interested in keeping up to date on all things crypto, then subscribe to the channel. We put out a new video every 12 hours. So I have got an article that I found in the Daily Voice from Baltimore, which is titled "Navy Engineer Wife Sentenced for Trying to Sell American Submarine Secrets for Crypto," according to the feds. So this is actually an old story from last year. This all happened last year, but the sentencing is come out now, and so that's why it's back in the news. And here's the lovely couple. So let's jump straight into the article. The wife of a former Navy engineer who worked with her husband and attempted to sell American secrets to a foreign country to an undercover operative got a longer sentence than her husband, federal officials announced on Wednesday. Diana Twebb, who's 46, of Annapolis, and husband Jonathan Twebb, who's 44, serviced 3 dead drops, which were picked up by undercover FBI agents during a year-long sting operation, federal prosecutors said, leading to a lengthy prison terms for both. On Wednesday, Jonathan Twebb received a sentence of 232 months, equating to more than 19 years in prison, while his wife received a term of 262 months, totaling more than 21 years after both pleaded guilty to the conspiracy to communicate restricted data related to the design of nuclear-powered warships in August. So this guy actually worked for a civilian company, I believe contracted. This is from memory what I remember from the story last year. He was involved in, he was some kind of mathematician or engineer or something like that, where he designed the propeller of US submarines, and it was something to do with that. And this gave him, I don't know if you know, but I've brought a couple of pages here that showing just how sensitive the propeller is on a submarine. This is a Canadian picture from Canadian Navy, and this is one from the British Astute class, and they keep these propellers unseen. They don't want anybody seeing these, because if you can see it, you can it's possible for enemy navy ships to be able to work out where you are by using the shape, by looking at the shape of the propeller. They can guess how fast you can travel, what is the rotation, how quickly you need to rotate, the propeller needs to rotate to push you through the water, and so what would be your maximum speed, what speed would you idle at, and it makes them really detectable. And also they leave tiny little bubbles when it's called a screw actually, the military call them a screw, the propeller. As the screw turns, they leave little, I forget the name of it, but it leaves like kind of a little air bubble as it turns, and this creates a sound signature, and it's what so companies or militaries across the globe try to minimize that sound signature, because obviously the lower it is, the harder you are to detect, and that's obviously very important if you're a submarine. So he worked on these, basically designing these propellers, but for the US Navy. So let's keep going. If not for the remarkable efforts of FBI agents, the sensitive data stolen by Mr. Twebb could have ended up in the hands of an adversary of the United States and put the safety of our military and our nation at risk. US Attorney William J. Eilenfeld II for the Northern District of West Virginia said, "The FBI keeps American citizens safe from enemies, both foreign and domestic, and this case is an excellent reminder of their important work." According to court documents, at the time of his arrest, Jonathan Twebb was an employee of the Department of the Navy who served as a nuclear engineer and was assigned to the Naval Nuclear Propulsion Program, also known as Naval Reactors. So he held a high clearance, this guy. He would have been able to, he would have seen a lot of secret, or had access to a lot of secret documentation, I would imagine. He held an active national security clearance through the Department of Defense, giving him access to restricted data within the meaning of the Atomic Energy Act, prosecutors said. Restricted data concerns design, manufacture or utilization of atomic weapons or production of special nuclear material or use of SMN in the production of energy such as naval reactors, they added. Jonathan Trebb worked with and had access to information concerning naval nuclear propulsion, including information related to military-sensitive design elements, operating parameters and performance characteristics of the reactors for nuclear-powered warships. He admitted to sending a package to a foreign government listing a return address in Pennsylvania containing a sample of restricted data and instructions for establishing a covert relationship to purchase additional state secrets. So this guy thought who he was communicating, this Jonathan Trebb, thought that his intention was to sell these US secrets or these US designs, which are considered restricted data, and then sell them to a foreign government. But in actual fact, what he's done is his messages have been intercepted, and he's now talking to an undercover FBI agent pretending to be a foreign agent. So he doesn't know it, but he's actually talking to the feds now. The correspondence lasted several months, culminating in an agreement to sell the data in exchange for thousands of dollars in cryptocurrency. I happen to know that cryptocurrency was Monero, XMR. On June the 8th, 2021, the undercover agent sent $10,000 in Monero to Jonathan Trebb as good faith payment, and days later he arranged a dead drop by placing an SD card which was concealed within half a peanut butter sandwich and contained military-sensitive design elements relating to submarine nuclear reactors at a pre-arranged location. After retrieving the SD card, the undercover agent sent Jonathan Trebb a $20,000 Monero payment. In return, Jonathan Trebb emailed the undercover agent a decryption key for the SD card, which contained restricted data tied to submarine nuclear reactors, officials said. It's interesting that they don't actually name Monero; they just say in cryptocurrency, but it was in Monero. I've read another article. I remember it from last year. On August the 28th, 2021, Jonathan Trebb made another dead drop of an SD card in Eastern Virginia, this time concealing the card in a chewing gum package in exchange for $70,000 in cryptocurrency, which was again Monero. And the reason he used Monero, for those that don't know, is it is entirely untraceable. It's probably the only cryptocurrency out there that is, it's just completely and utterly anonymous, mathematically so. So there's no way to decrypt. It uses, it basically uses three types of ways to keep it hidden, and that is it hides the sender address. It hides the receiver's address, so when you give somebody a recipient address, that is not even the address. It's called a stealth address. That doesn't even appear on the blockchain, so you don't even know. So you can't trace the payment basically, and the actual transaction is also, although it is on the blockchain, it's obfuscated with 15 other transactions. So although you would know if you were looking in, if you even had that information, that one of those transactions that took place was his, you would not know. You would not be able, it would give you plausible deniability, and you would be able to say that, well, okay, one of them was mine, but you don't know which one, and nobody can. It's not mathematically, it's not possible to prove that it was him. Only that it was one of 16. So a little bit on Monero there. These actions are a betrayal of trust, not only to the US government, but also to the American people, Assistant Director Alan Kohler, Jr. of the FBI's Counterintelligence Division said. All US government employees swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States, and with that oath comes the obligation to protect sensitive information. Those entrusted with such grave responsibility must be held accountable if they violate their oath and betray their country. Special Agent in charge Bryce Miller of the Naval Criminal Investigative Service, NCIS, Office of Special Projects, added that the Twebs betrayed the American people and put our national security at significant risk when they selfishly attempted to sell highly sensitive information related to nuclear-powered warships for their own financial benefits. And we actually see Monero used more and more. It's a shame that they didn't actually specifically say which one it is, because it would given it some coverage in this article. But I know that it's used more and more now in darknet markets, and I read a recent Europol white paper that said that 68% of all listings on DNMs, on darknet markets, are for drugs, and that 30% of those are Class A's. And it just shows that criminals are often the true early adopters of many of the latest technological advancements. And why is that? Well, because when you think about it, they face the highest level of friction in a marketplace. And because a criminal business or enterprise in this case is the least efficient form of enterprise, they are they're brutally competitive, and there's a lot of violence in criminality, especially organised crime, and they just have to use the latest cutting edge tech because of that. I mean, they use, when you think about it, criminals were the first to use cars in bank robberies, when they used to use a getaway car. And I also believe the mafia were the first adopters of the telephone. And criminals also, I remember reading newspapers and other articles that criminals used drones when drones first came out 10-15 years ago. They used to fly them over the prison walls, in the UK anyway, and drop little drug packages off for the convicts inside, and other sort of contraband and what have you. So the fact that criminals favour Monero, or XMR as it's known now, might be an early indication of its adoptability sort of later, but that remains to be seen, and yeah, we'll just have to wait and see and find out about that. So that's what I've got for you this morning. Remember, everybody, to subscribe to the channel, join our team. We'll keep you updated on all things crypto every 12 hours. Smash the like button if you feel you got value from this video, and I'll see you all in 12 hours.